Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer Fantasy, it's easy to learn the rules. Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington Show.
Welcome, one and all. It's time. The Andy and Rem Show, episode 125. If you finished feasting your eyes on this beautiful photoshopped thumbnail, it's time to say hello. So, cows are upon us. But 125 episodes, that's a bit of a milestone in itself. So, do you say it's utterly ridiculous that we've reached that amount of episodes?
It's fantastic.
I think we've milked this concept enough.
I think you have, but I like it.
So you don't think it's time to move on to something different?
If I could have half as many jokes as you, Andy, I'd do well.
Give us your best cow jokes in the chat right now, because the chat is swimming, not in milk, but it's swimming in enthusiasm and raw passion and energy for wargaming and online content. This is the one place you can get both of those things. I'm pretty sure no one else does any kind of wargaming YouTube series. It's only us, really, isn't it?
Nothing on the internet as good as this show when it comes to eccentric and alternative AOS content.
That is true. So, in fact, as we start talking, I'm going to shift the screen down a little bit to something controversial. There we go, got him on the screen now. So, the cow elves. We saw them, it seems like years ago now, for the first time. We wrapped our eyeballs around their lovely horns, and now they're upon us, and we know how much everything costs. I believe we were predicting last week the price of some of this stuff. And
prices, yeah, just talk price.
Yeah, what did we predict for Teclis? Spirit of Heish. I'm pretty sure we didn't go as high as £105.
No way, Jose. I thought 75, 80.
I thought
89.
85, I thought maybe. It looks smaller than a Stardrake, and they're 95.
It's growing on me, this model. I mean, do you have to set it up in that configuration? Is there any alternative things you can do? I mean, it looks like Teclis is about to do like a high dive with his MC Hammer pants on. But I'm growing to love him. It's just that big moon on his helmet. They're quite hard to paint. There's no detail on it. It's just a big fat half moon upside down. And the face on the birdie flying thing, it's just really weird.
It's disturbing.
It's kind of beautiful and weird.
It's like something from a nightmare somebody's having in a horror film.
Yeah, I would like to... What accent do you think it has when it talks? Do you think it has a British accent or a computer accent? Or what do you think it sounds like?
Yeah, it does have a bit of an AI look to it, doesn't it? This creature would be guiding you in like an artificial world with its weird, vaguely humanoid face on its animal form. So I could see that.
I think it would sound like Hal from 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's not a good idea.
Jump off my wing, Teclis. What's he doing up there? How is he perched on the wing? I suppose we'll see. We'll go for the Teclis 360 in a minute and you can see the better angle on this.
But also, it doesn't really fill you with terror just to have this guy with the big pants standing over you. You think you're not trembling with fear. I mean, he doesn't look hard, does he? I don't know why it does that. It's just showing off, really.
So, before we dive into the pants of tech list too much, a couple of news items first. Number one, your screen appears to be a little bit different to usual. Would that be because your computer exploded and you're using your phone by any chance?
It's it's bloody Discord. I think something's corrupted my computer, and I can't get my computer goes on, but the monitor just blacks out. And I'm going to have some major reinvestment into technology. I'm using my iPhone 11, and then I've got my iPad watching the live stream. So I don't know. Sorry, guys. Every week it seems to be something else, but I'm here still.
Although, to be fair, it was my technical difficulties that caused the Vermintide stream to be cancelled last week as well. Because one or two issues with the internet on this computer, because in this house we just upgraded to faster internet. But my PC seemed to be excluded from that faster internet because the Wi-Fi was giving a very, very poor signal. So after many, many hours of adjustments, moving the PC around, facing it slightly different angles, I've got it to a workable speed until it can be hardwired in. But if I were to push the PC tower 1 inch to the right, the Wi-Fi speed would halve. So that's
Wow.
how wild this is.
Does the Wi-Fi emit from the back of the computer or from the front?
There is a Wi-Fi adapter poking out the back.
Oh, it's the back.
Yeah, so I've tried rotating it, like holding it at weird angles, taking it around the room, but the spot it's in now is the best I can get in this room.
I bought a Wi-Fi booster, right, from Amazon, and I nearly smashed up the room. It got me so frustrated. It basically wouldn't connect to the router. It's a Sky router, and it wouldn't connect. It wouldn't see it. But my phone would see the booster. And then I looked into some complaints, and apparently with Sky, you can't use any booster. You have to use their special booster and get their people to install it.
Of course you
And
do.
their booster costs 3 times as much as everything else. So it's so frustrating. It's like now I'm back at work. Every hour is precious. So 3 hours messing around with that. It was like, yeah. I came close then to doing something I
Well,
regret.
the reason that the Vermintide stream was cancelled because I actually got the internet to kind of workable standard, but I was reseating the Wi-Fi adapter in the PC and somehow dislodged the power button connection.
Oh,
So it wasn't powering up, but it didn't look like it was out of its socket. So I was trying all kinds of other things first until I realised, wait a minute, that's actually slightly dislodged there. Let's push that back in. Oh, now it's fine. But by then it was too late to start the stream. So hopefully Vermintide this week, we'll see what happens with your computer first. It's going to continue to explode on impact. So,
it's only 2 years old. I don't know. Maybe it's some conspiracy. Everyone's using the internet so much now that they're basically shorting everyone.
everyone is hoarding all the internets. It's like a pie and everyone's taking too big a slice. Speaking of
go on.
Speaking of slices of pie, how are the GW stocks doing this week?
Not good. Well, they reached a high of £95 per share. I bought them at, I think I averaged at something like £59. And this past 2 weeks, it's not been good. It's gone down by about 10%. So it's now 85. But compared with other UK stocks, it's still doing great because just there's so much fear in the economy at the minute, especially with Brexit. It's such a bad idea, but the people voted for it, and the next 6 months is going to be pain. it's just the dumbest thing.
I think the last 6 months have been a bit of pain as well, so we're in
I
for a
know
lot of pain.
We don't talk politics, but I mean, and GW is, a truly international company. It's proud to be British, but it's going to come across some clear stumbling blocks, and I think prices are going to suffer. And so we've seen these prices that you've just, been talking about already go up. That could be because of COVID. I think inflation's going to kick in with things becoming more and more expensive. So, but hey, we're Britain, and we are better now.
Yeah.
We might get blue passports, so it's definitely worth it.
You could have told me you were going to say this. I would have had like Union Jacks ready to fly across the screen.
Yeah, well, it's either that, or it's because there's a few people coming over in boats that are, ruining the whole country. That could also be the reason. I don't know. Yes.
What's the world coming to?
Bad Squeedo Games in the comments, hello there, is saying maybe someone is trying to shut Ren's information down on the stocks as he knows too much. Maybe. There's definitely some manipulation going on, especially when the little guys get involved in the rich guys' schemes. They don't like it. But I'm here to stay.
And also, since you started your financial roller coaster voyage, isn't that roughly when some of the big shots at GW started dumping a lot of their stock?
Well, I do need to check the financial reports, because when the big shots do dump or buy stocks, they have to disclose that information publicly because it's a public traded company. So whenever the big guns at Games Workshop make any moves, it has to be declared almost immediately. And I haven't checked recently, but they did a big dump at the end of February when everything was at its peak before COVID. And I should have took that as a little bit of a hint, but I stayed strong. And then all the economy went down, down, down. So the big wigs at GW knew something was happening, and they sold loads of millions of pounds worth.
Have you considered that the reason they know what's happening is that they watch this show for your financial updates?
They would be wise to, really, I think. But I'm following them as well. They bought back in something like April or May, and that was a clear signal they knew something was going to happen. And hey presto, things started to go up again. So they basically, what I'm trying to say is, guys, that they double dipped. They didn't do anything illegal, but they bought a bunch last year. The stock almost doubled. They sold at the peak, and it went down, and then they bought back in. So is it genius, or is it, I don't know what it is, but yeah, there's Mr. Roundtree, who's the CEO of Games Workshop. He's done a terrific job, clearly. There's more models being produced than ever before, more gaming, more skirmish games, revamps of all GW products in the last 5 years. You can definitely say he's turned the company around and made it massive.
And I hope he enjoys sleeping on his mattress that's just made of cash.
Well, I looked at a few apps. One of them is called Simply Wall Street, and it does financial analytics on every company. And it currently says that Games Workshop shares are overvalued, and the CEO gets paid too little for in comparison with other similarly sized companies. So he's in it for the love, obviously.
Yeah, let's be real about it, though. No human being with CEO as their title is being paid too little. Let's be honest now.
I think he gets paid $500,000 a year, something like that.
Barely enough to get a pot to do his business in, really, is it?
Well, Games Workshop is now £1 billion company, right? So, and it's become that largely since he's gained control. So, it does seem like a lot of money he earns, but in terms of how much value is brought to the company, it's kind of commensurate. Look at me, look using all these posh words.
Speaking of things that are on the rise, let's have a look at some prices. This latest stuff. So, Lumineth Realm-Lords Battletome. Now, since this show took a bit of a hiatus a while ago, we haven't had a big juicy new release to sink our fangs into, have we? So now we've even got, look at all this descriptive text. Okay, let's have a read of this. The Lumineth are masters of magic. Through their immeasurable skill, they will save the mortal realm. That sounds like a spoiler. From disaster, no matter the cost. Only the Lumineth would be arrogant enough to claim the title of Realm-Lords. Yet such is the close bond they have forged with Heish that they have earned that right. Their immaculate shining companies fight as one, whilst the devout warriors of their elementary temples call upon the war spirits of the elements to lend them supernatural powers and even battle alongside them. So yeah, we haven't really been looking into the fluff of these cow-themed elves too much, but you fight alongside spirits, and if the spirits favour you, as we saw in Lord of the Rings, then you can't fail, can you?
No, I mean, what sort of army on the tabletop do you see the Lumineth being? Do you think they're on an offensive army, a defensive army, a sort of a skirmish?
They're offensive to some people's senses. I would assume they've got a reasonable amount of speed to them, with them being elves, and they have had some cavalry shown so far. And I think there'll be a very strong magic theme in the army, though.
I mean, Andy, I think we should add up how much the book costs and how much the contents of the Lumineth box you could buy, which was £110.
You want to see if there's a saving?
Yes. How much is the individual components?
You could you could order this entire set, but I'm sure there's no saving on that. That's just the one-click bundle. But
well, in the box you get the Eletharion.
So you get the Battle Tome, £25. So are you keeping a running total of these here?
Yeah.
So Battle Tome. Do you get this as well? The Light of Eltharion.
Yes, you do.
Okay, that's £26.50 for that one.
Plus 25, that's £51.50. Yeah.
Is Teclis in there?
No.
Okay, is the Sinari Cathalar in there? This caster with the wavy.
No.
What about the Venari Auraland Sentinels?
No.
The archers?
No.
Okay, what about the wardens with the spears?
Yes.
£36.50.
Plus £51.50 is £88. 88.
Do you get the War Scroll cards?
I think so. I'm not certain, but I think you'd get those. Yeah.
Okay, that's £15. Do you get the Endless Spells?
Hold on, 98. That's 98 plus 5 is 103. No, you don't get the endless spells.
Okay, so how much did you say? 103.
Yeah, but the horses.
Yeah, and they're not out yet. So,
Ooh.
So what was the price of the box?
110.
The horses are going to be more than £7, aren't they? They're likely to be the same price as one of these units, about £36.
Wow.
So there is going to be a saving involved there, right out of the gate.
That's a big saving.
A spicy saving.
That's like a 30% saving. Not even if you get it from like an independent store, even more.
Do we have some 360 now?
Oh yeah.
Let's have a look.
I know you do that, Andy.
Here we go. 360 on the Light of Eltharion. Nope, that's not how you do it.
That's very expensive for a hero, isn't it?
Look at this. Did you ever think you'd see an elven kind of spirit creature? I assume that's what it is. Performing the 360 live on the internet.
I didn't until today.
There you go. That's some quite dynamic cloak action we've got going on there. Very nice. And the hair matches the flow of the cloak as well, which is a nice touch.
It's a beautiful model, and you don't have to paint any flesh. I reckon you could paint this real quick.
They've made it look taller by perching it on these two rocks as well.
Yeah, that old trick. Yeah, I love his. I can just see him like wielding those two weapons with consummate professionalism,
With poise and grace.
I bet he doesn't talk much, does he?
Probably not. Looking at him. Shall we have a look at his description? So,
yeah.
Let's get rid of the 360. See what it says here. Okay, yeah, so it sounds like we're right. Eltharion has no physical form, only a spiritual essence, perhaps with spiritual danglage, given uncanny strength through Teclis's magic. Ancestor of the Lumineth race, his avenging spirit is a puissant... I'm not even gonna... Puissant warrior, and an inspiring hero to those AELVES who witness his shining light. Whether you're commemorating the world that was or just want to chop enemy champions to bits, you can't go wrong with the light of Eltharion. This legendary hero is an excellent duelist, strongest facing off against other heroes. What's more, the light of Eltharion will ensure that you other units don't flee even when under heavy pressure. This kit builds... Okay, that's not exciting anymore. Well, no physical form. That's what we said. He's like a bit of a spiritual dangler, just dangling himself into the realms and assisting the elves. There you go.
He's kind of like the Green Knight, isn't he, for the elves?
He has actually got a bit of that look about him as well in the helmet department.
Steve Evans says he's a baby chicken.
That's a poussin, isn't it? A very small chicken that you can get in the supermarket.
Poisson. Or is that fish? Can't remember.
Poisson is fish. I think, yeah.
Hey, so what's chicken? Poussin.
Chicken is poulet.
Poulet. Poulet, s'il vous plaît. Mais oui, poisson.
I remember that because it's one of the few things that I would remember from French lessons at school. Like, j'adore le poulet. I love chicken. Or je déteste le boulanger, which I think is I hate the bakery, or something like that.
Les pâtisseries. And then, what is it? Quelque chose. That's a great saying, isn't it? Quelque chose. And then, j'habite au rez-de-chaussée. I live on the first floor. Or is that, I live on the ground floor. J'habite au rez-de-chaussée. So nice. Yeah,
Anyway.
No one in the going along with our French thing here, so we should move on.
Let's move on. So here we have Archmage Teclis and Selenar, Spirit of Hysh. So, are we going to have the first ever broadcast of a Teclis 360? I think we are. Let's enlarge. Let's have an enlarged Teclis 360.
Can you do the voice while you're doing the 360?
Can I do the what?
The voice of Hal from 2001.
Go on, you do it.
I'm sorry, Andy. I don't think you should do that. Please, Andy, don't turn me off. I don't think that's a good idea, Andy.
Look at this, though. So it's his cloak that's perched on the wing, not his feet. They showed us that angle a lot there. And that looks lame, that angle, doesn't it? Because it looks like his feet is ready to just take a dive off the wing, which is ridiculous, frankly. But here you can see he's actually floating, and his cloak is just entangled a bit in the feathery wing there. But yeah, the fact that you can see how far forward he is. Someone in their photography department, or maybe not photography because you just take pictures of every angle, who would be the one that okays the final image? Because let's see, if you turn him, let's try and pick, if you had him like that as the main image, you could see that his feet aren't touching the wing. That as your box art picture, I think would be much better than that.
Yeah, that looks, yes, it looks a bit more regal.
It just looks weird with the feet position there, but here you can see this clear daylight between the wing and the feet. You can see that it's the cloak that's actually attached. And
if you put an actual eagle head on that on Selenar, it would make much more sense, I think, this whole model.
Is it actually a mask?
It just looks like a kit bash.
It looks very strange. I wonder what kind of creature it's supposed to be underneath. Maybe it'll tell us in the wonderful description that I'm going to read out in a minute, and hope that it doesn't have more ridiculous, vaguely French words in it. Here we go. Teclis is a paragon of magical talent. A deific presence who has only become more powerful since uniting his soul with the lunar sphinx Selenar. Their mastery of light protects the Lumineth armies, whilst searing the foe to scattering ashes. Behold the god of light. Teclis is the ultimate sorcerer of AELVES kind, and, some say, the mortal realms themselves. This dynamic duo are among the most powerful options available to a Lumineth Realm-Lords army, letting you blitz your enemies with a dizzying array of powers, or just chop them to bits in close combat.
Hmm.
70 plastic components.
I've got a whole quote from Selenar, if you want to hear it.
Go on then.
Teclis, I know I've made some very poor decisions recently, but I can give you my complete assurance that my work will be back to normal. I've still got the greatest enthusiasm and confidence in the mission, and I want to help you.
Is this a subplot that we're writing? That can go along with our petition to have the official main image, the Teclis, changed to this angle here.
I'm sorry, Teclis. I'm afraid I can't do that.
The chat's going wild. Everyone seems to agree that it looks way better now that you can see it in 360 and you can actually realise that. It actually looks quite good from that angle as well, but obviously you can't have that as the main piece of art because you can't even see their faces. But that just is silly. Why did they pick it? I don't know. That's enough on him now. Let's have a look at the Scenari Calathar. Do you think that's the rank, the role, or is that the name? Do you think Scenari is the kind of caster or the kind of person it is, and Cathalar is the name? Let's find out.
She's beautiful, isn't she? I love that.
Let's have 360. An
Yeah,
enlarged 360. Look at this. I'm always impressed whenever I see the kind of paint jobs where they give a kind of transparency.
This is going to get to a Bretonnian prophetess, isn't it? It's such a beautiful model.
Look at all that swirling liquid danglage.
I don't think she belongs on the battlefield. You know, she's not dressed for a fight, is she?
Well, you don't know. There could be some serious battle armor going on under that flowing cloak, that flowing dress, if you will.
I think Selenar could give us some good advice. Maybe not to enter the fray for this one, but she looks like someone you might see just before you're about to die, that gives you the cup of life, right? That's why I think she's real Bretonnian vibe to her. What's she holding? Is that a massive goblet?
It is. It's a large beverage that's spilling everywhere. Which seems reckless, if you ask me.
It doesn't look like it's good for you to drink that stuff, really. It looks like black spirit poison.
Yeah, if you drink from that and then fall ill, I think you've only got yourself to blame. I mean, look at it. It's trying to escape from the glass.
Yeah, I think you definitely think about legal action against her. You know, she's supposed to represent life and goodness, right?
Let's find out. The Scenari Cathalar is the single point of darkness in the shining host of their fellow Lumineth. Oh, there you go. They take the emotional trauma of their kin and weaponize it, unleashing this torment at the foe to render them crippled by angst and despair. I've seen a few people at tournaments using this strategy.
You know, you'd never think that she would really be that evil by looking at her. It just goes to show.
I don't think it's a case of evil. It's more like just absorbing the negativity from the surroundings and then unleashing that on someone they don't care about.
Yeah, but who would she not care about? She looks like she would be pretty nice person, but then obviously she's not. It's
What
just
about
so
a Nurgle warrior?
well, yes, but I don't think Nurgle Warrior would really be too worried, you know, about what she's got to unleash. I think they'd lap it up. I mean, I think a Nurgle would like that liquid she's got there. It looks like some kind of diesel oil, you know, Black Death. I think the more I think about it, the more unappealing she is, really. You know, never judge a book by its cover. Never judge the look by the lover.
So you've done a complete 180 on this.
Yes, done a 180 on her.
Okay, let's get
Yeah.
out of here before it turns into a full 360. On to the Auraland Sentinels. Now, clearly archers, and gone are the days where you couldn't see the arrows, or the bowstrings for that matter, because, let's have a look, an enlarged 360. Here we go. So if you think back to the days of those old Bretonian bowmen, just like that, then of course you didn't have an arrow, you didn't have a bowstring. Now you've got an arrow, and you've got 3 bowstrings.
I mean, why would you have 3 bowstrings? It doesn't look like they'd give you any more power.
Well, I've heard people that claim to be in the know on these things that it would actually be a terrible idea in terms of physics. But I can't speak to that because I am not an expert in physics, nor am I an expert in archery.
I think they'd just get more tangled, right? Or maybe it doubles up as some kind of harp, and it makes like a nice noise when they unleash. There's
Maybe.
that half moon thing on their breastplate.
It's cow horns.
It looks like a big like smiley face from like the rave days. You know? Raving elves. Paint that yellow, couldn't you? Yellow with a black smile. I don't know. I think if it was one like champion that had the 3 bowstrings, then all right. But I don't think every squaddy deserves the triple G string.
Yeah, I could have thought, yeah, maybe triple string for a champion, because they're magically imbued strings, so it actually makes sense. Raphael says maybe it's a short range, mid range, and long range.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe three shafts. You know, 3 shafts, 1 for each string. So he fires like 3 shots at once.
Is there anyone in the chat right now who is an expert on bows? If there is, then let us know if this makes any sense. But while waiting for that, let's have a look at the description for them. Master archers, the Auraland Sentinels wield complex elven bows that can either fire straight and true, or loft arrows high in the air to curve down onto distant foes. When their high sentinel channels power into their arrowheads, they are all the more lethal.
I mean, Andy, let's look at the stats. I don't know if you can, but I would.
Do they have rules on here?
Well, maybe, right? But I would.
Downloads. Yeah. Let's do it.
A big Ungor is only just a little worse than these guys.
I want to go back and look at Techless's rules in a minute. Okay, so let's see. Anything jump out at you there? Move 6 inches, very elven.
All right, 3 to hit, 4 to win. That's actually pretty good. And a -1 rend. That's not fair.
Save 5+, not bad for an archer.
Why does he get 5+? He's got no armor. That's ridiculous. He's just got like a helmet and like happy face.
They even get another page for the special abilities as well. So, not going to go through all that right now. Let's just have a look. Pick out one special rule. So, sun metal weapons. The arrows used by Auraland Sentinels are tipped with pure sun metal. Burn a victim from the inside out. Sounds painful. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with an Auraland bow is 6, the attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target and the attack sequence ends. Do not make a wound or save roll. So, Sounds all right to me.
They're better than Wood Elf archers, then.
Probably. But they're blessed by the Lords of the Realms and all the spiritual goodness that goes with it.
I mean, if they're magical creatures, why do they need bows at all? I mean, when they can just conjure missiles, right? Why do you even bother carrying around that three-pronged arrow thing?
Looking at the tech list rules now. So, 16 wounds, obviously. Say 4+. His move varies depending on how much damage is taken. So it starts off at a 12-inch move. That's not bad at all. And then the beast probably has some decent attacks. Moonbright Talons, I assume that's the monster. Starts off with 6 attacks. And that is a lot of multiple damage from this guy. D6 damage on his staff as a missile weapon. D3 damage with the sword in close combat. 2 damage on each of the talon attacks from the beast. But look at all that rend as well.
That's phenomenal. I mean, the guy is skinnier than you, Andy. I mean, there's no way he would survive a slap from a giant.
Excuse me, but I'm actually being cast to play the next Incredible Hulk. Look at this musculature.
I don't know. I think he looks pretty, but there's no way he's that tough. 4+ save, bravery 10, 16.
How many pages of special rules do you think he has? How many extra scrolls worth?
He's going to have so many.
Let's find out.
Me.
Oh, it's only 1 actually.
Oh. I mean, it would be good if you pressed a button on the model and then Selenar said something. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yes.
And do that, Techless.
Let's have a look then. So, let's pick out a random special ability and see what it does. So the Aura of Selenar. The presence of Selenar grants nearby allies arcane knowledge and insight. Add 1 to casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls for friendly Lumineth Realm-Lords units within range of this model's Aura of Selenar ability. Range of the Aura of Selenar ability for this model is shown on the damage table. So yeah, not only will they completely take you out in close combat with all this rend and multiple damage as far as the eye can see, but also got magical abilities and magic boosting abilities as well. Sounds good to me. Who's next? Wardens. Okay, let's have a spear 360. Let's enlarge that spear first. This is just the champion then, because he's got a sword. Has he got a couple of spears in his backpack there, or is that just the banner?
He's nice model.
It is a very nice model, actually. Very nice detail. I'm enjoying... Just to look at, I like when models have, like, gaps. If you think back to the old days, a lot of models had the kind of flat pose like that, looking off to the side with their arms just up.
Yeah, ever since round bases, they've become much more physically expressive, haven't they?
In terms of painting it, though, I'm not sure I would like that. You would hope that the shield is a separate piece, so you could paint that last and then stick it on.
Yeah.
But you never know. Unless it's got the sprue. There's a picture. There we go. I'm not seeing any shield attached. Oh, there you go. So it's the back piece with the poles and the sword as well. So yeah, you could just paint that separately. That's all right then. Sometimes you get those models where it's like the computer has drawn a line down the middle of it. So you'll have like a bit of chin stuck to the left side of the torso and then the big toe. And that bit slides into everything else because the computer determined that was the best way to fit it on the sprue. And looks a bit weird.
Is that done by computers then now?
I would imagine there's a lot of computer work.
Right.
Let's have a look what the description of these guys is. The Auraland Wardens fight in close formation, using long pikes that they set to receive the charge of the foe. Wardens guide their sunmetal tips into the enemy's chests at the last moment. Those pierced by them are slain in a heartbeat. Auraland Wardens are the front line of any Lumineth Realm-Lords force, forming a nigh impenetrable wall of pikes that's ideal for repelling enemy charges, dominating the objectives. Sounds about right.
They can try that, but can it defend? Can it defend a catapult, or can it defend a giant rock thrown at it?
Can it defend a party of ambushing Ungor raiders?
But that would be definitely.
Okay, yeah. I'd say it can. Okay,
I've seen these models on the table and in pictures, and that the spears can be like really long, like Macedonian long, really long.
Dogs of War pikemen, obviously, are some of the longest pole arms that have been produced by GW. These guys are quite lengthy as well. Nothing to be sniffed at there. War Scroll cards, not very exciting. They'll be out of date in 3 months, so you probably don't want to buy them. And finally, Endless Spells. So some of the Endless Spells we have mixed feelings on. What do we think about these ones? Let's have a 360. And actually, the previous pictures we saw of this made it look a lot worse. I actually quite like this now.
You do? I still think they look terrible.
It's like a spiritual brick wall that's being spirited away. I actually like this. Maybe it's just the paint job that I like.
I think it's a missed opportunity. Do you remember back in the day, they had the elemental models, Citadel miniatures, and they had earth, wind, and fire and water, and the air elemental was wicked. It was like this cloud, but it was like a fat guy, like blowing. It looked wicked. And these, these elves are all like elemental things, aren't they? So they could have really gone with that, with the endless spells. But what's this? This is just like I don't know. It's just like, whatever. No?
Void Captain Bazooka says you could kit bash that elemental by chopping up sprues. Maybe you could actually. Yeah, anytime there's just like solid rocks or bricks like that, you could probably do it yourself without too much trouble. Let's have a look at these ones then.
He says those are collector's items, and they're very much highly prized and hunted for.
So what do you think of these?
Well, that's the one.
Looks like this is the shield ability, isn't it? It's quite wide, and there's like the protective symbol putting out its jolts of protective energies onto the earth.
I don't think you need to buy a model for that. You could just basically buy some moss or some weeds, stick that on a base, and paint it red. Right? That's the cheap way of doing it, anyway. Owen Lee says it looks more Eldar than elf. What does that say, do you think? What does it say?
I can definitely understand the point there, and if you think about it, a lot of the races are going that way. We had the Stormcast Eternals that are possibly infringing on Space Marines. We've got the Caradron Overlords that are a bit squat-like. We've got the Bone Reapers, which are a little bit Necron-y, certainly. These guys have got a little bit of the Eldar about them with some of the big walking spiritual creatures that they've got. They look very much like some of the Eldar Titans or War Machines from 40k. So, yeah, it's definitely heading that way, and that's a good observation there.
It is a good observation, and I think what's coming next is fantasy Tyranids. And I just had $1 million idea. What about Mothmen?
Mothmen.
Yes. Like evil moths. I hate moths, but they're like Mothmen models.
I also
And
hate moths.
yeah, they like roam the night, and they're like kind of like they can be like the new vampire counts, but they're like flying moths.
Have you ever
And
seen Godzilla versus Mothra?
yeah, I've seen clips, and Mothra. I don't know why it just doesn't pull its wings off, or burn it.
Yeah, Mothra. The films I've seen, Mothra has not been that effective generally.
What does he? Because he got some kind of electrical surge that he.
Yeah,
shoots.
there's that, and there's kind of the wing flappy, and like dust comes down, and I think makes people go to sleep sometimes. But in a straight up fight, if you will, then I wouldn't be putting any money on Mothra. Personally.
What about Mothman? Do you think that's got legs?
I think Mothman has got wings. It's an idea that could take off. However, they would have to have a special rule so that if there's a gust of wind, they all drop dead immediately. Because they're essentially made of dust, aren't they?
Yeah, so that's why I think they could be like akin to sort of vampire county kind of things, if they're exposed to too much light.
If they're exposed to too much anything, moths just seem to explode. I did look it up actually. I was doing a bit of research on moths and found that what appears to be dust are actually like little tiny scales that they have on their body. And they don't just immediately die if they lose a few of them, but they do shed them a lot. So it feels like as soon as they get touched, they're just dead because, oh, there's half its body there. But I think they can actually tolerate losing quite a lot of those things.
Yeah, I don't really want them to make Mothmen. That'd be horrible. I think out of all the monsters, I think Mothra would be the one that scares me the most.
If it was flapping towards you, then yes.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Mothra just flying around outside your house because somebody left a light on?
It'd be insane, man. I wouldn't like it. Steve Evans says, I love moths.
How can you love moths?
They eat all your clothes and they hide and breed.
Well, maybe he's really into those three things.
Well, he obviously doesn't wear cashmere, what I'll say.
Well, we've got some support for the Mothmen. So if GW are listening, and I know they are because they steal all the other ideas that we come up with.
Yeah. I mean, Andy, look, this is how effective they can be over time. I had a bona fide Persian carpet in my old flat, and I'd rolled it up and put it under the bed, and I forgot about it for a couple of years. Probably a bit silly of me. When it came to moving out, I unfurled my carpet, and it was half eaten by moths. It was horrible.
Terrible.
And they were everywhere. I hoovered it up, and I just couldn't get rid of them. They were like buried, burrowed so deep in the fibers, chomping away at all the hand-woven, like traditional, thingy-bobs in the Persian carpet. It was devastating, man.
Yeah, they lay their eggs in there, don't they?
Yeah. They're just evil creatures. What's the point of moths?
I'm sure they serve some purpose in the food chain, but yes, I get your point. It's the same with wasps. They serve some purpose, but it's not really tangible without looking into it a bit.
Or mosquitoes. I mean, are they even in the food chain? Because who eats mosquitoes?
I'm sure something does. What about frogs?
I don't think so.
Don't they?
But not mosquitoes. I mean, it's just an evil creation. Moths and mosquitoes.
I would just get rid of wasps if I could get rid of one of them. Obviously, they'd have to be replaced in the food chain with something that does the same job but isn't so annoying and aggressive to humans.
What about an army that's an amalgamation of moths and mosquitoes? There's like blood-sucking moths.
Mothsquitos.
Mosquitoes. Mosquitoes.
So they start drinking your blood, but if you spot it and just go like, then it just into dust.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. Okay, so there's actually something that Steve has just mentioned. Forest of Rem t-shirt. That's the first Forest of Rem t-shirt to be sold. Steve has actually worn that. And there's a picture of it. There's one on Facebook, and I posted it in the Discord server as well if people want to look at it in there. But I think you can...
It looks wicked.
I think you can choose the different colours for it, so you don't have to get it in green. But I think it looks pretty spicy. And for anyone who's eagle-eyed, you may have noticed that I've got this Forest of Rem mug in the background here, gently rotating. And I'm hoping that that's going to provide some subliminal hints to people that they should be heading over to the Redbubble store and purchasing all kinds of top-notch merch, because it is selling like hot cakes. And if you check out the Discord server, then you'll find info on which items have a special reduced price this week. Very exciting. So, speaking of excitement, I think it's time that we dive into the second most popular segment of the show. And that would be... There it is. I've got so many things in here that I have to mess with now to find it. But there we go, we've got it. Okay, go folks. Strap yourselves in.
What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it a chaos dwarf or a vampire bear? Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Only Andy and Remington, Andy and Remy, Andy and Remington know. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it Sigmar's beard or Neferata's hat? Oh, what the hell is that? Oh, what the hell is that? Is it a mangled squig or a sorcerer's rat? Only Andy and Remington, Andy and Remy, Andy and Remington know.
Okay, everybody, what the hell is that? Come on, somebody's got to get it. Beautiful, seamless Photoshop work there, if I do say so myself. I can confirm that Mr. Remington did actually pose for the background picture that the part of the miniature was superimposed onto. So, what is it? What the hell is that? Which miniature are you looking at there?
It could be something ghoulish, right?
It could be. It could be almost anything, as is the nature of what the hell is that.
Uh-huh.
Now, this isn't going to narrow it down at all, the audience, but this is a miniature I'm going to guess Mr. Remington has owned at some point. So it really could be any one, part of any of like 15 different armies for that to apply.
Talking of armies, if you head over to our Facebook or my Instagram, Remington Warhammer, you can see my entire ogre collection painted. It's never been defeated in battle. Scalps include Vincent Venturella from Warhammer Weekly, defeated by this army. And also Andy 2D6 has been defeated multiple times by my ogre horde. And if you really, really like it, you might be able to buy it off me. It's on eBay as well.
Okay, we've had a guess. Stu says Blood Reaver. No, it is not a Blood Reaver. William says Flagellant. Nope. Fluffy Dread says Charybdis. Nope. None of those are correct.
The Vargolf? Vargeist?
Nope. Owen says it's a Beastman leader. Nope. not.
It's got an 8-pack. Or is it even maybe that chest in the background is a red herring? I think Andy would be the sort of person that would do that. Maybe it's just like brickwork. They're just like bricks on a tower.
Okay, so no one's got it yet, so I'm going to give you a couple of clues. It's something not that fearsome in combat. Not particularly fearsome at all. Although from this image you would guess that it probably is. Fluffy Dread says Dark Elf Medusa. No. What was that?
A snail?
It is not a snail. William Matthews has successfully guessed because it is in fact an Ungor. You wouldn't think an Ungor would have that kind of physique, would you? But there it is.
No.
Not so much that one, but the one on the left, definitely. So, there we go. That's what the hell that was, and well done to William. Okay, we ready for the #1 rated segment in YouTube Wargaming?
Yes, I think so. I'm going to try and sing the song. It might cut in. I don't know, but I'm recording my end off my iPhone, so...
Well, it cut out the final bit of you saying cut out, so that's not a good sign.
No. I think you should mute, though, while I'm singing, because maybe that is why it's cutting out, because it's sensing, you trying to make sounds. And
I have my doubts, but you know what? I'm going to mute myself on our Discord call right now and see if that makes any difference whatsoever.
Going to do a 360?
Don't think we really needed to see that, did we? The audience can still hear me, of course.
Andy's muted, so he can't talk. Isn't this nice? Right, how's that? In the forest of realm, in the forest of realm, where boys become men, in the forest of realm, Andy and Ren, in the forest of realm. In the forest of realm, in the forest of realm, is it chicken or is it a hen? You decide where and when. In the forest of realm, Andy is the DM. In the forest of realm.
Okay. There we go.
That?
It's time. The Forest of Rem. You may remember that last week our hero, the travelling minstrel Remington, escaped from his prison using all the tricks available to him. He got involved with a mysterious old woman with some soup, a severed hand, another Remington clone, seemingly. He made it out and was whisked away into a strange, lush landscape with a river and many steps leading up to an altar, almost in the sky, with a mysterious, cloaked, hooded figure atop it. And this landscape is not at all dimly lit. In fact, the sun is beaming down. You can hear wildlife in the undergrowth. It's very jungle-esque. What will you do first, Mr. Remington? There are many steps to the top.
Right. I've always liked that scene in Rocky where he's doing his exercise thing and he runs up the stairs at the end. So maybe this is a stairs to glory.
Do you know how to play that song on the instrument that you have there?
No, but I generally don't practice anything. I just listen to it in my head and it forms in music. Um, yeah?
Close enough.
Okay.
Remington makes his way up the steps. On reaching halfway, becomes aware in the stonework of a small creature. It seems to be only a head perched on a crevice between two of the large grey stones. It is looking at you.
It's a head. Does it have hair? And a
It
beard?
does. It has long flowing locks. It does not have any facial hair. Long hair, just a head poking out, and as you observe it, it squeezes itself out, and it's actually a tiny little person with a gigantic head.
Uh-huh.
No taller than a man's thumb.
Do you know, it's a shame in the Forest of Realm-World we don't have a video camera phones, because what I'd be tempted to do would be to kick it down the steps and video that. Maybe that'd go viral.
Are you planning to kick it down the steps?
Yes.
Okay, roll the dice.
Let's go, just for a laugh. See, in gaming, you don't always have to be a hero. You can be a bit evil. So, let's go. Remington! It's a 5.
That is pretty good. Remington swings back his trusty right foot and boots this poor little defenseless creature down the steps, kind of like a slinky style. It bounces all the way down to the bottom, cracks its head open on the rock, and brain matter starts oozing out.
Oh, I didn't mean that to happen. Okay.
At this point, a second creature emerges from another crack in the bricks. This one looks very similar to the first, except this one has hair curlers in.
I'll just say, hey, I think your friend fell down the stairs.
Creature peers down the stairs. A single tear rolls down its cheek, and then its eyes suddenly become pure light, and it stares directly into your soul.
Okay, it didn't really fall down. I kicked it, but I was just having some fun.
It utters the following words. Remington, join us for dinner.
What's on the menu? Brains?
No.
Yeah, okay. It's been a long time since anyone was kind of nice to me.
Guess again.
Oh. Brains faggots.
Again.
Okay. A fry up.
Again.
Courgettes.
Again.
Chips and beans.
Yes. Chips and beans. The creature beckons you into a gap that's clearly too small for your frame.
Can I send the flesh puppet through and eat on
The
my
flesh
behalf?
puppet is snoozing and doesn't seem like it's going to be roused anytime soon.
Okay, well, can I try and make a run for it while she's gone in her house?
If you really want to.
I just don't know. Let's look at the comments, guys. Can you help me? I used to make brains faggots, says Steve Evans. Yes, that's good. That's not helping me right now, Steve. Give me a suggestion. Neil Park says Remington for dinner. And Regina Corbett says Void Captain Bazooka. Ronnie Corbett. Maybe that's something to do with the little head, the big head and the little body. Go look at the miniskirt with Andy and Rem in the merch store. It made me laugh really hard. Says Owen Lee.
If anyone goes on Redbubble and buys one of the mini skirts with any of the logos on, I will be very impressed. So what are you going to do? Are you going to accept this dinner invitation, or are you going to snub this creature after you've just booted one of its presumably relatives or otherwise loved ones?
Oh, that's the problem. I can't go into her home. But I've accepted the invitation. I'll go in somehow. How do I get in there?
Well, that's up to you. You could try and pry yourself in. You could try and break some rocks to make the crevice larger.
Yes, let's do that. Let's destroy their home while I'm at it, yeah?
Okay, roll the dice to see how ferociously you enlarge that crevice.
You see, this game is rigged to make me look bad. Remington! It's a 3. I think that's a decent score.
That's pretty mediocre, but it also means it's not disastrously bad either. So, Remington crafts a slightly enlarged crevice, enough for him to reach a head and an arm inside the rocky hovel of these creatures. Is that what you'd like to do?
Well, Brad Jimenez has just offered a really good idea, but it's too late. He says, get the drink me potion from the magical sack.
Well,
maybe it will shrink me.
You want to reach into your magical sack?
Well, I've already destroyed their home, but
well, you're already reaching into their home, but you've got one arm free if you want to have a fiddle around in your sack. Okay, roll the dice. Let's see how useful the item is that you find in there.
It's a 2, so that means maybe I get 2 items.
That's not what it means, but you can keep telling yourself that. So, Remington fumbles around in his overflowing sack and pulls out what appears to be a turnip.
Okay, I'll push the turnip into the house. Maybe she can do something with it.
Okay, roll the dice. Let's see if anything goes wrong with this.
It's going to be nice, offer something. Remington. It's a 3.
Well, Mr. Remington rather uneventfully pushes a turnip into the home of his hosts. They seem to be overjoyed. There are several of these creatures sitting around, clearly different ages, some of them very small and joyous, presumably the children, and they're all seated at a large table. Each one has their own place, and there's also a seat saved just for Remington. And they start to slice up this turnip and put it onto the table with the other food that has been prepared. It's essentially a banquet, and seemingly in your honour. They don't seem to be too disappointed about the fact that you've murdered one of their comrades.
It's a banquet in my honour. Wow. Okay, let's just join in and be polite, be a good guest, and enjoy the food, right?
However, as you start digging into the food, all of the creature's eyes light up pure white, and each of them stare into your soul at the same time. They beam these words into your mind. We do not host this banquet. Death hosts this banquet. And each of them flashes before your eyes and becomes a skeleton.
Your adventure ends here.
Your adventure does not quite end here, but you are stuck in a slightly enlarged crevice, surrounded by tiny skeletons who pick up their cutlery, wield it menacingly, and they're moving towards you with worrying haste.
Ooh. Do you know, I'm tempted to just let them hurt me because I don't think anything can really hurt me in this game. You know, let them do their worst. It's probably just a bad dream.
So you're going to allow them to hurt you?
Yeah, I'm going to be like the Bodhisattva, just lying, you know, letting the bugs eat them.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to open a dice rolling app because I didn't think I'd need a dice. I'm going to roll a dice for these creatures and see how effective they are at hurting you. So there are 3 of them attacking you with their cutlery, so I'm going to roll 3 dice. Ooh, the first one approaches you, but slips on a stray piece of turnip and impales itself on its knife. Its life juices flow and saturate the earth beneath. The others look on horrified, but one of them is not deterred at all by this, charges headlong towards Remington, slices through the air with the knife, and actually causes a little bit of a wound on your shoulder.
Oh.
The second one, that's not put off at all by the death of its comrade, charges headlong towards you, screaming some kind of war chant emanating from it, swinging knives everywhere, and with one, completely takes off your arm.
Oh dear.
Not the one with the flesh puppet, the other one.
It's off my arm.
So you've lost an arm now.
Oh god.
And it's spraying blood onto the floor.
Well, I suppose I've given him something. Maybe it's time to run.
Which way?
Down the other side of the stairs.
So you want to get to the top first, then?
Yeah, I thought I was at the top. That's why I did the Rocky theme tune.
You haven't quite reached the top yet. You got stopped halfway up by the creatures.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. Samurai movie type blood. So much for not getting hurt. All right, well, I've got one arm left, so I'm going to grab my sack and swing that around as I'm going to run away. Just to clear out anyone attacking me.
Okay, so the slightly enlarged crevice is, of course, naturally lubricated by all this blood that's spurting from your shoulder stump at this point. So you've got no issues escaping from the crevice. Remington makes his way up the step, swinging his sack around his head in his flesh puppet hand, while his arm is presumably being feasted upon by these unruly skeletons. Oh, by the way, the one that impaled itself had a bit of flesh left in its abdominal region. That's why it was able to produce life juices. Not that I forgot it turned into a skeleton at all. That's not the case. So, roll the dice to see how successful you are at flailing your sack around and charging up the steps.
Okay. Roll this Remington. Oh god, it's a terrible night for the dice. It's a 2.
Mickey says how will he play his mandolin now? Don't want to know. So, as Remington reaches the top of the steps, the sack slips from his grasp. Flesh puppet stirred in its sleep a bit, just went and let go of the sack. The sack spills its precious cargo all down the steps. And as Mr. Remington looks back horrified, his eye is then drawn to the cloaked figure perched atop the altar, who takes off his hood, revealing, what do you think it is under there?
Probably me.
Of course it is. It's yet another Remington. This one, however, seems to have an air of confidence, and it has a little evil moustache as well, curled up, and curled up eyebrow corners as well, so you can tell this one is definitely evil. This Remington approaches you. All right there.
Hello.
You've done well, my ancestor.
Ooh, thank you.
Harvesting the souls of Remingtons, allowing me to feast on their sweet, succulent soul juice, strengthening myself for the great battle to come.
Oh no.
have been an unwitting pawn in the greatest game of Remington-themed chess ever.
Oh, no.
And it seems you've been disarmed.
I don't know what to do. Maybe I should just say a little prayer now, because that seems to used to work, right?
Okay,
Maybe
are you praying to any particular deity?
Let's look in the chat. Which deity should I pray to, guys? Because I'm at my wit's end here. Kill evil Remington and take his arm. Bluff them.
While you're thinking about who to pray to, the evil Remington addresses you again. I've seen all possible futures, Remington, for I am Remington the Ever-Chosen. I have foreseen that all eventualities are possible, except for the ones where you win.
Ooh.
Those are just stupid.
I think I should take up Owen Lee's suggestion and pray to Gork, or maybe even Mork. Why not? Gods of destruction for the orcs and goblins. Maybe the foot of Gork could come down, or the hand of Mork could come and take me away, or replace my missing arm. Let's have a sincere prayer.
Go on then, roll the dice. The orc gods.
Okay, orc gods, come and save Remington. You know it makes sense. I'm as unpredictable as your minions, but at the end of the day, it's all in the name of fun and brawling. Remington! Cut dice. Remington! Cut dice. Remington! Cut dice. That was a 2, a 2, and a 1. Let's just last one. Cut. Remington! It's a 6!
Okay, let's go with that. A green foot emerges from the clouds as Remington the Ever-Chosen reaches down to finish the job and swipe the head clean off of our hero's shoulders. The foot tramples just behind, stepping, you know, that really annoying thing where someone steps on the back of your shoe and it like scrapes down your Achilles and your shoe comes off. That is essentially what the foot has done to Remington the Ever-Chosen. His magnificent boot flies off. He's now got a really sore Achilles tendon. And he's hobbling around as this foot stomps wildly around him, like doom, 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 collapsing bits of this enormous stone pyramid structure. The Ever-Chosen Remington is so startled by this, he whistles, and from the heavens a familiar cry is heard. Caw-caw, caw-caw. That's right, it's Jeff the Chimera, come down to rescue its master, Remington the Ever-Chosen. It swoops in, and the Ever-Chosen Remington leaps onto its back, gets out of range of the foot, stares down at our hero Remington, and gives the following words. My visions were true, Remington. I have seen that you are the second most powerful Remington in all the realms. The final showdown is upon us. However, we cannot do this alone. It has been foretold that 4 must join you. 4 must join me. Seek them out and face me atop Mount Rem. And with that, and a quick caw, Jeff the Chimera swoops away into the clouds, carrying Remington the Ever-Chosen. The foot mysteriously vanishes as the entire pyramid starts to crumble and collapse around your feet.
Wow.
And with that, I think that is the end of the episode.
Okay.
So you've been confronted with your legendary foe, who has been mentioned before for anyone not keeping score at home. And now you have a final quest. You're also in severe peril. And if anyone has a suggestion of how to deal with this peril, or who to recruit in the final battle against the Ever-Chosen of Chaos, the hero of Season 1 of The Forest of Rem, in fact, from the future, Remington the Ever-Chosen, let us know who you think would be an adequate adversary for this malevolent being. There we go. That's it for another exciting, thrilling roller coaster ride of excitement. And that's it for the show, pretty much. Any final words?
Thank you, Andy. That was very entertaining, and I hope I left our audience entertained.
Salivating, thirsty for more delicious, refreshing wargaming content next week. And don't forget, later this week perhaps, we may even have the final episode of Vermintide. We might actually be able to finish it. It would be about time too. Then we could go on to Vermintide 2. That would be guaranteed ratings because that's much newer. People are always seeking out video content on that. So, exciting times ahead. And
give us a thumbs up, guys, if you like this episode. If you like tuning in while you're painting and chilling, do something, guys.
there's only 12 likes so far. Very disappointing. So don't forget to like the video, obviously. Thanks to all the audience for joining us, and special thanks, of course, to all the patrons of this channel, and in particular, special thanks to those patrons who have pledged to a certain level that grants them personalised thank you at the end of each episode. So here is that personalised thank you to the following very special and highly valued members of the community who make all this possible. So, thank you to Graham, Steve, Kim, Eric, Brad, Barbara, and Guy. All of you bring this world to life with your financial juices. Don't forget to check out all the links in the description. All the spicy stuff is down there. We've got all the social media shenanigans. We've got Facebook group, we've got the Discord server, Twitter. Don't forget to check out Radbat Designs on Facebook in the description as well. If you want to see who has been creating all the magnificent logos and overlays and such that have been going into our shows lately, upping our presentation by about 3,000%. Not the thumbnails though, those are all my work, with my own unique brand of Photoshop excellence. And don't forget all the fundraising sources down there as well, and the Redbubble merch store. And if you get yourself a piece of merch and you want a character in the Forest of Rem named after you, then let me know. It can be done. So with that, I think it's time to say goodnight. Next time. So, Mr. Remington, would you like to bid our audience farewell for the week, or for tonight at least?
Goodbye, farewell, adieu. Been nice knowing you, and you, and you.
So all that remains now is for me to utter those immortal words. Good night out there. Whatever you.
It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer